collaboratively with the parents.
Okay, that's great. Because these are the things that we have difference, that in our culture normally if a student doesn't do well, the teachers, they try to solve the problem. If they can't solve, they ask the guardians to visit the school, or they send some letters to the guardians. So that's the point we wanted to clarify, that how we can take from your education model. Because to me, whenever our parents, because in our culture the family is valued, and so that means guilt and the shame culture. I'm bringing on this point because this is very important, because Islam emphasizes both aspects. First of all, guilt is internal, mean individuals, whereas shame is social. So a person, if he or she doesn't feel guilt in herself or himself, he cannot repent, he cannot correct himself. At the same time, if they don't have this concept of shame, then they cannot actually feel the importance of society. Because in our culture, that's what because you claimed that you are not Western, you are not Eastern, so please don't mind, because I'm giving some diseases of the Western cultures, and that they inculcated the sense of guilt, but they remove the shame. So a person, they're saying, okay, they're up to this age, they can do whatever they want. But that's, for example, for us, a no-go area. For example, indecent behavior. Because this is just a theological, but we don't think this is religion, because we think Islam as a deen, that's mean a complete code of life. It's a guidance for the life. So Adam and Eve, you also a believer, Adam and Eve, they were in the heaven, and the first time when the deceiver, the Satan, deceived them, they lost their clothes, and immediately they understood that they are in fault, they committed wrong. So Western society actually took this shame out of the sense. So they are developing policies, work ethics, and for example, if anybody is following that ethics or policies, they are good citizens of that country. Whereas we could not adapt and adopt the values from our deen, that's mean Islam. At the same time, for example, the Western civilization, when they colonialized us, we took like little of their good and most of their bad things. So as the last session, Dr. Abid Ali, he is with us. He will have because I don't want to discuss this further, because it would be better if we engage you guys together. So actually we are suffering a lot, because neither we have sense of guilt, neither do we have sense of shame. That's mean our education is not giving us the trait or the values that we need. Okay, so briefly, doctor, since actually I know a little bit of your history and the Finnish history, I'm not going into detail. Can you please tell us why Finnish education system is considered as the best in the world? Because this is OECD has termed this a #1 education system. World Economic Forum has termed this a world best developed education system. Why is so? What parameters do they look into?
Well, thank you. Good question. So the education system in Finland and the success of it comes from several factors. And early on, Finland wanted to learn from other education systems. At the time, we were not excelling or shining in our education. So we learned from others and developed our own education system before that. So basically benchmarked the system. A lot of it is well, there's many things. Maybe if you think of Finland as a society, education is like 1 out of 20 things that shape the society. So education is like 5% of the whole that I try to tell about. But many things, the focus in our education is more on the learning, not so much on the testing. And we emphasize on the basics, the foundational basics in our education. Teachers are key people in this.
I just want to like interrupt here. Like
yes,
to my knowledge, that all teachers must be a master's degree holder. At the same time, there is like 10,000, for example, 10,000 applicants. They will take 8% of that applicants because you have very less population. And this is very competitive, the most competitive job for the citizens of Finland. And to my knowledge, the best students, the best of the best students apply for the post of the job. What incentives and what social values do they get? Like the respect and in terms of like contribution, why do they prefer this teaching profession?
Well, it's an admired profession. Teaching is an highly admired profession in Finland. In Finland, the teachers are respected, and they have a good pay. The teachers themselves, as they are highly educated, like every teacher has at least master's degree, so they actually shape the education of the nation. So they influence the development of the education system in Finland, and they prepare the reforms and new initiatives. And this is the key. There's a high level of trust towards the teachers. So because they are highly educated and even getting to the teacher training school, as you mentioned, Tarik, only 8% gets in. So that's very sought after profession, and people actually who are finding a calling to be a teacher, they get to be teachers. Like I have an example of a highly accomplished young female who wanted to become a teacher, and in the application to be a teacher in the teacher training school, to be a student in the teacher training school, it's a 3 phase process. So first of all, they look in the admission, they look at your success in your studies, like what kind of grades you get. And that's fine. You find a lot of people who qualify in that respect. Then the second one is like they make the teacher student candidates to perform like a role play to sort of develop some kind of learning experience for elementary school children. And then the panel like watches them, how they collaborate, how they work, and then they are rated based on that. And then the third phase in application phase is the interview. The potential teachers, they are interviewed by the panel. And as an example, this young lady who wanted to become a teacher, her mother, father, grandfather, uncle was a teacher. And when she was asked, so why do you want to become a teacher? She said, my relatives are teachers, and this is more or less a family tradition, family business. And this last part, although she excelled in the two first phases, the last part didn't convince the panel, so she was rejected. And the next time, a year later, she went and applied, same thing, good, her grades, of course, the same, and then the group play, and then came the interview. And in the interview, she found the words that she has the calling to be a teacher. Through being a teacher, she can influence the future young minds of the nation. So she can make an impact on a large scale by being in contact with young Finnish citizens. And this was an answer that the panel found satisfactory. So they were very happy that she actually found the real reason why she wants to be a teacher.
That's great, because they have clear objectives that what they want to do. And for your information, because due to the change of the superiority and change of this all kinds of aspects across the world, now we are mostly from developing our LDCs. So our education budget is quite low compared to, for example, your country and other countries. At the same time, our population density is too high. So definitely, we cannot exactly adopt the policies you have, but definitely we can do, and we can develop based on your policies that is adaptable to our society, to the betterment for ourselves and our people. Is the question, this one would be the last question, then we go to the panel question and answer session. Why Finland is considered as the happiest country in the world? Is there any correlation with your education system and this happiness?
Great question. Once again, for the happiness, there's many things that contribute to the happiness, and I would say education is only one tiny bit of it. You have to think about, like you mentioned, the differences in population density. I know in Bangladesh there's around 165 million people in land area of less than 150,000 square kilometers. In Finland, the land area is around 340,000 square kilometers, like more than double for 5.5 million people. So there's a huge difference in this sense. What contributes to the happiness is the landscape, the nature, and the way of life. It's described as a chilled way of life. There's a lot of cooperation at schools and in the society, rather than the good old American competition, Darwinian competition, that I beat you, I'm stronger, I survive. It's not like that. And also the Nordic countries are known for the sort of socialist way of thinking, like no one gets left behind kind of thinking. There's low level of crime in Finland. There's, for example, this kind of test they do in cities all over the world, and maybe you've heard like this wallets returned test. Like if you lose your wallet in the city center of Helsinki, 11 out of 12 are returned.
That's great.
And from own experience, I've experienced this. I was with my wife in a tram maybe 15 years ago, and we stepped out of the tram, this little train, and she noticed that she forgot her handbag in the tram. The tram went already, and we were panicking because her wallet there, everything, credit cards and so on. So we were panicking what to do now. And we waited for the next tram and asked the tram driver, what should we do now? And we were instructed to go to a central point where all the lost and found is brought in the capital of Helsinki. The capital region is like 1 million inhabitants. So it's in our terms, it's a large city. In your terms, no. But anyway, we were told the collection point, and straight away, with the shortest route, we took a tram and went to the lost and found. It took us like half an hour. And when we went there, the handbag was already delivered there. And then nothing was taken.
That's awesome.
So that's like a real life story of the low crime rate. Of course, Finland has a high standard of living. The education system plays one part of it. Equality plays a big role, like the role of women in society. The women in Finland got the right to vote in 1906 as the first European country. We have had a female president. Our current prime minister is a 35-year-old female. And there's a low corruption rate. So Finland is tied with Denmark and New Zealand for having the least corruption in the world year after year. That's one key thing. On top of the general education, the universities in Finland are great. The research and development emphasis is great. Overall, we put 5% of our GDP for education. It's been decreasing. It used to be 6%. So this decrease is actually big in terms of our country, and we're of course concerned of that. In R&D, we aim to have 4% of GDP for R&D. So we are quite high in these terms. So that leads to advanced technologies, very connected society, like a wireless connection and so on. And many things, like in 1995, we joined the European Union, and we used the common European Union currency, the euro. That has made many things very beneficial. And memberships in like OECD, this 38 nation.
We definitely know, Doctor.
It's important.
Because you are part of the European Union, you need to use the euro as a hard currency. That is definitely good for you. It's a free trade zone all over the European. So definitely you have some more privilege compared to other people. Now we'll not dig into further, but just for information, we have last more than three decades in Bangladesh. We had female prime ministers, the figurehead of the country. At the same time, in Pakistan as well, and for women's right, actually, it goes back to like 15 centuries almost. Because that was established by our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the right of women, a right to inheritance. I mean, all this, you can say equity and equality for women, that was ensured, and it has been valued throughout the centuries. Now, due to this you can say that our cultural alien culture influence and all these stuffs, our society has been eroding, and we are much in troubles. And that's why actually we have a lot to take from you and learn from you. And let's get into our audience, and let's have some objective oriented discussion. I would invite Dr. Mahmoud Abid Ali, Dr. Fazlul, and Dr. Mohammad Shahidullah, and any other audience. Please please raise your questions and feel free to discuss. Open your mic, please.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum and good morning, Dr. Yuni. This is Dr. Abid from Pakistan.
Pleasure to hear you. I enjoyed your talk and discussion a week ago, and I learned a lot.
That's good for me. Basically, my focus is actually on the natural education system. And I would like to know, what do you see your education system as? Is it, do you think it's a natural education system, or is it more close to the structured system which normally the West is following?
So can you say, I didn't, is it a national or natural? Which one you said?
Natural education.
Natural or Western?
No, what actually I meant to say was, because the system that we have adopted from West is a totally structured system. It's more of programming than natural learning. So how do you see your system as?
Okay, a very good question, Dr. Abid. So it is very less controlled by any central entity due to the high level of education of the teachers. They have freedom to shape the education. So they have free hands in developing the curriculum, and it is not like a rigorous programmed system from the top. Because in the teacher training school, when they go to the teacher training school, and it's a highly sought after profession, so they are immersed in the current teaching culture and in the way of freedom to choose how they themselves want to teach. So they can modify their teaching, and usually when they teach, they are in close contact with other teachers, and they discuss on the ways how they teach in the teacher like a break room. So not at all like a programmed system, and like the concept of East and West, as we discussed a little bit before. Okay, yes, Finland is a Western country, but we've always been in between East and West. So like Finland was part of Sweden for 600 years. They gave us autonomous rule, and then Russians came and took this part, Finland, away from Sweden for around 100 years, and then more than 100 years ago we gained our independence from Russia. So we've been West, we've been East, but we always give high value for being sort of neutral between East and West, but we are more aligned with West, but not to the sense as you would think of like US or UK. We are very much different from their systems as well. So we are something like everything is not like black and white. So we're somewhere in the gray area, probably, Dr. Abid.
Yeah, okay. Because I have investigated about your education system, and as I see, they have reduced the subjects to only 4 subjects in your schools, not many subjects as we have, or as maybe UK or other Western countries have, which was a very good move, I think. But one move I failed to understand is they have increased the education to 19 years from 18 years. So that was something which I thought required some criticism, because I feel uh, from the natural perspective, a human being becomes mature and able to grow his family at the age of 15. That's what we believe our creator has designed us for. So my actually vision, or my I mean, how I see education is, by the age of 15, a boy should be able to support a family if he can grow a family biologically. So that's
Yeah.
how I see the things. So I feel, and as I've seen in many cases, there have been families where they could bring up their children and they entered the university by the age of 11 or 12 years in America. So anyway, this was just, I wanted to give you an indication how I look at education
Yeah,
system.
I appreciate, and I'm fully with you. I'm not in favor of extending the already lengthy education. So I'd be happy that they all finish by 18, and there's still plenty of years to learn by that time. I agree.
Yeah, thank you, Tarek. I think others too would like to ask some questions. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Abid.
Thank you, Doctor. That was very important discussion. I really didn't know that they have 4 subjects. Can you please give us some hints on these 4 subjects? What are those 4 subjects they are teaching?
Well, that's a great question. Well, what I know, what is, for example, measured in the OECD PISA, the program for international student assessment, PISA. So what's measured there is the reading and the changing reading, and mathematics and science. These are the basic measurements there. In elementary, in middle, high school, well, I've been out of the system and living in Saudi now for more than 10 years, but I still think there's more subjects. For example, when we graduate from high school, most often even the number of languages we've learned is 4. So for example, in my case, I learned, in that addition to Finnish, I learned Swedish, English, and German. So maybe Dr. Abid means the disciplines measured in the PISA, but in the actual education in elementary, middle, and high school, I am pretty sure that there's more study subjects, like for example, geography as one, biology. Then there's sports, art are ones, and other areas.
So we understand that is great. Means like 4 category, that reading in chance, science, and mathematics. And so we at least we got a focus area that where we can focus more. They are all audience. Thank you. Can you please open your mic and open the video and just like everybody, please.
While people are formulating the question, this is a 7th grade example of a history book. And this is from grade 7 to 9. Basically, the skills to cook, to clean up your house, to pay bills, to be part of the society. And then like a social study book for which grade? Probably this is elementary grade. So of course we have lots of these books because our children are 15 and 12 years of age, and we've bought the Finnish books for them. So there's plenty of study subjects
that's great.
in addition.
According to the book, do the children start cleaning home when they are in standard 7 or something? Because you just showed the book. So do they implement it at home?
Well, they resist. I can tell you that. So we as parents, we want them to take out the garbage and do the dishes and hoover and mop the floor. They do, but not voluntarily and not out of their own will. But they're learning, so it's a long road, especially with your own children, because we don't have the status of being a teacher. So we're parents and they want to resist us.
That's great, Doctor. And really, we learned a lot. Basically, these are the things that we want to learn and impart in our life, in our own lives, so that we can benefit from it and we can impart the values to our children. That's the main purpose of this session. Any questions, Dr. Abid, Binash, Danish, you just unmuted. Please go ahead.
Assalamualaikum. Hello, everyone. Dr. Yanni, this is Danish from the Entrepreneurship Institute. So
nice to hear you, Danish.
It was a good talk, especially I got to learn about the new European model, and also Dr. Abid, your last session was amazing. So, I mean, it's a great learning experience for everyone, I hope. I have 2 questions, Dr. Yanni, if you don't mind. First of all, in the Finnish education model, what is the grading system do they follow? Like in our case, it's very grueling. So you have to get 90s and you have to be in 80s in order to get promoted to the next class and something like that. So that causes a lot of stress on the students. They're always running after numbers. And it creates a competition. Like I will do my assignment, but I will not share it with you if you're lagging behind, because I need the numbers and the bell curve and those things. So what is there in the Finnish model?
Okay, the grading is simple. It's from 4 to 10. 4 is failing, and 10 obviously the maximum, and then it goes like you would have 10 minus or 9.5 or 9 plus or 9, and then 9 minus 8.5 and so on. So this is the grading, and usually it is a collaborative system among the youth, and they, instead of like being afraid of somebody getting a high grade or higher grade according to the bell curve, it's not really thought like that. It's like if you have your buddy, you want to help out your buddy. So it's more like a collaborative way of thinking.
Nice. And my second question was, Dr. Yanni and Dr. Abid, if both of you could talk about that. We have these systems, but and the systems are also, following some ideologies and based on the culture and religion and these things. So in UK and US, I've seen some cases where, concerned parents have raised voice against the influx of, strange concepts that should not be present to elementary children. For example, critical race theory and the concepts of, homosexuality. Like I remember one case of parents who were protesting outside a school, and when they were interviewed, they were said, "We are sending our kids to school to learn about physics, chemistry, and maths, not about homosexuality." So there is an agenda that these concepts are being funneled in the elementary school system to uh, affect the mindset of kids. So in your opinion, how can this be resisted, and even the counter narrative finds acceptance in the masses? Because if you talk about that, you're labeled as like uh, someone who's against equality and these things. Thank you.
If I may go ahead, wonderful question, Danish, and difficult to answer, really. Because I've been out now for a number of years, so I'm not fully aware how these rights inequality are dealt with currently. I'm pretty sure it's a very open discussion, but I'm not sure to what extent these issues are discussed.
May I have an opportunity, please?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Danish, a very appropriate question. That is actually is the basis of my thinking as well, because every system has certain objectives. A system has to be developed to achieve some objectives. So is the education system. And when we talk of education, then a lot comes of the ideology of the nation, what they really want their people to be. And as Dr. Yene also appreciates that we are, we have to be a very religious society, the Muslims. And we believe that the religion of Islam is basically based on the natural principles, as the Quran says, that the deen is I'm not remembering the Arabic verse, but it is deen is nature, and this human being has been designed around nature, and that cannot be deviated from. We cannot deviate from the nature that we have been created in, and we have to enter the deen fully. So for me, a very because when we speak of religion, normally the West takes that to be a very narrow part of our life, whereas as Mr. Tariq Hamid pointed out, for us it's the deen, the total deen that we have to live in. And it's a beautiful deen, it's a very open deen, it's a natural deen. That's what I believe. I don't go after the definitions being given by many ulama, I think, who have distorted the whole beauty of our deen. So the objective is the main thing, and any system which has to be made has to be around objective. And when we have a very structured system, as we have presently, so definitely, because the politics rule now, politics everywhere, the politicians are ruling their countries and the world as well. So they have their own agendas, and then they want to achieve their agendas through the education, which is a very effective means to program people. So that is an issue, and that's why I feel, because as you know that in Islam, learning or acquiring knowledge is mandatory for every man and woman. that is mandatory. So we cannot link it to money, where we require money to acquire education, or to say that to get a good education or tarbiyah you require more money. That doesn't hold good. And that is why I feel, and as per my observation and the observations of people like John Holt or Sir Ken Robinson, John Taylor Gatto, Muhammad Rafiuddin, Allama Muhammad Iqbal, they believe that every human being has been designed to learn. Every human being. And this is what we observe in our young children. They are learning all the time. And this is blocked as soon as we enter school. Then the agenda comes in, and we are taught what the government think is good for them. So this is an issue which I think we should reflect upon, which inshallah ta'ala, I will, if I'm given opportunity next program, I will try to focus some things regarding what natural education system is, as per my findings.
Inshallah, you will have that opportunity, Dr. for sure. And just let us like sum up the session. And since we talked about Islam, just to like indicate, Dr. Yani, Islam is not actually basically like, okay, it's not our property. Because when Islam came, when the Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, most of the people in Mecca was mushrik. That means they had polytheism, idolatry. So they were idolaters. So we label ourselves Muslims. Sometimes we talked about it, but basically most of us, we are not really by definition not Muslims. And there was a research, an Iranian origin. I don't know whether he was the first generation US. I think he was from Georgia Tech, and his group, they did research that which country is more Islamic. So the Muslim majority country that came in the list, like 36 or 37, that was Malaysia. And I think number one was Ireland, second was New Zealand, maybe Finland in number 3, something like that. So like in terms of in Islam, I always tell my understanding and whatever I came to know, Islam ensures 2 things. If we want to succeed, that worshipping only one God and ensuring justice in all levels, personal level, family level, and to social level. So we are mixed up with both of the things, because we don't identify our creator as the sole creator, and we don't hold ourselves responsible or accountable to him, that we are going to die, again we will be resurrected, we have to render an account. It's not necessarily that we are carrying, but he is, because you know the phone and this device you are talking about, everything is recorded, and it takes minute of space. The creator, those who has created us, definitely he has a mechanism to preserve all the things we are doing. So this is the fundamental, that if we can ensure 2 things, the success is granted. Worshipping only one God without associating any partnership to him, and ensuring justice to all levels. So I think we will continue our discussion, and we hope that we'll learn more and more from Dr. Yani, Dr. Abid, and all others, those who want to learn, because my why I started this, because I feel a lot of deficiency. And from the beginning of my childhood, I did not learn how to accept good advice and how to reject the bad advice. And for a lot of failures, I would say, like the tremendous failure of my life, I found that not understanding which one is the good advice and pick it up, and which one is the bad advice, reject it and stay away from it. So may Allah guide us, may the Creator guide us. And thank you, Dr. Yani, Dr. Abid, and all the attendants. Jazakumullahu khairan kasira. May Allah grant you khair. May Allah grant you all goodness. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for the opportunity also I learned a great deal today as well. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much.
very much.
Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.